Alright, Bill Henshaw here again for the Constitutional Crisis Channel. Today's subject is current events, and the title is What's Wrong with Executive Orders? And it's current because in the news recently, you had Robert B. Reich mentioning that he's in favor of using executive orders issued by the president in order to penalize corporate executives who violated securities laws and other laws and should not be allowed to participate in any further government contracts and this, that, and the other, and they probably shouldn't be. I mean, there's no question about that. But using executive orders, that's a very convenient tool, and it's one that's very easy to abuse, and it also would confer powers on the president beyond those recognized in the Constitution of the United States. And I think that's true even in the case of corporations, which is arguable, but I would have a hard time with it because once you put it in there and use it against corporations, you know damn well once the camel's nose is in the tent, they're going to use it against us sooner or later. That's why you can't afford to risk that kind of a thing. So that said, I mean, Congress knows how to pass laws and enact laws to take care of business like that, and you suffer convictions like that as part and parcel of the sentence. You're prohibited from any contact or contracts with government for at least a set period of time, and it could be in perpetuity, because if the crime is serious enough, you've disqualified yourself from gaining any benefit from dealing with the government. So I think that's a much better way to do it, and it's consistent with the Constitution, not in opposition to it. And we need government to start acting a lot more like the former and a lot less like the latter. And I'll just mention, by the way, the first executive order, so that you know, Executive Order 100, it didn't start at 1, is the Labor Code, issued by Abraham Lincoln. And that was a war code that, for among other things, provided for getting troops for the war between the states by requisitioning them and requiring the states to produce a certain number of troops given the populations of the states. It was the first kind of selective service act, and as you might expect, it was not well received, especially in New York City and Boston and other big northern cities, where they had no desire whatsoever to be conscripted and go down and fight for something they didn't have any idea what the hell it was. Now, the good news at that time was, guess what? You could get out of, going and having to join the military if your family, or if you had it yourself, you pay the government, I think it was $300, which at the time was a good chunk of change, especially in gold and silver coin. But if you could pay that, they would go out and pick on, some more of these river rats or people in the Bowery and sign them up to go in the service because they couldn't pay to get out of it. I mean, this is a hell of a two-way street here, and more the double standard that's so common in government today, and it started long before the Labor Code. But this first issue right out of the, first order right out of the box tells you what's wrong with this stuff. And they had some riots in New York, so they had to be put down by force because of it. So it's just not the way that laws are supposed to be enacted here, and wouldn't be and couldn't be enacted if we had state citizens that were domiciled in states admitted into this union. If you owe your citizenship to the 14th War Amendment, they own you. They can do whatever they want to with you, right or wrong or good or bad. That's the way it is. So for me, no executive orders. And to Robert B. Reich, if you can prove me wrong, please do it. Thank you.